Alright, imagine this. You're at a garage sale, sipping your iced coffee, casually flipping through a box of old coins, when suddenly, you spotted a 1949 penny. You think, meh, another old penny. But here's the kicker, this little guy could be worth, brace yourself, $4 million. Yes, you heard that right, $4 million. Don't believe me? Stick around, because I'm about to show you how that beat-up penny might just make you richer than your wildest dreams. Okay, let's talk pennies. We've all got a jar of them somewhere, right? That little stash that we swear we'll get around to sorting through eventually. But here's the thing, not all pennies are created equal. Take, for example, the 1949 Lincoln penny. I know, you're probably thinking, it's just a penny. What's so special about it? Well, let me tell you, there's one key detail about the 1949 penny that could turn it into a gold mine, the no mint mark variety. See, most coins have a little mint mark right next to Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. That's where it tells you which mint the coin came from. Philadelphia coins, like most of them, don't have a mint mark, but then there's this rare breed from 1949. No mint mark, just silence. And that silence speaks volumes in the world of coin collecting. So, what makes this coin so valuable? In 1949, the Philadelphia Mint was supposed to make these pennies, but they had a little hiccup. Some pennies from that year were struck without the mint mark, which was a total fluke. A little mistake that no one expected would turn into a big deal 75 years later. Fast forward to today, and the 1949 no mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most sought after coins by collectors. And if you happen to have one of these bad boys, you could be sitting on a small fortune, like $4 million fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's insane. I've got a jar full of pennies from the 40s, but they're all just regular old copper. Well, don't toss them just yet. There are still some other pennies from this era that could be worth a lot more than their face value. But finding one of these mint-era coins is like hunting for treasure in a haystack. It's rare, but when you find it, it's gold, and here's the kicker. I actually found a penny just like this once. Well, not exactly a 1949 no mint mark, but I did find a 1943 steel penny in a coffee can my grandma had lying around. I remember thinking it was just some rusty old coin, but then I looked it up. Guess what? It was worth over $100. So, I'm here to tell you, don't overlook those coins just because they look old and worn out. You might have a gem hiding in plain sight. But, here's the hard truth, finding one of these rare pennies isn't easy. To find a 1949 no mint mark penny in good condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. If the coin's worn down from years of circulation, its value can take a hit. So, you've got to be picky when you go coin hunting. Look for one that's in decent shape, with clear details on Lincoln's face, the date, and the reverse side. The better the condition, the higher the price tag. And if you do find a 1949 no mint mark Lincoln penny in mint condition, meaning, like, almost brand new, that could be worth a jaw-dropping $4 million. That's not a typo. A coin with that level of quality and rarity can go for millions at auction. So, what's the takeaway here? Next time you're going through your collection of old pennies, don't just toss them aside. A 1949 no mint mark penny could be worth more than your car, or maybe even your house. And hey, if you do find one of these bad boys, don't just take my word for it. Get it professionally graded and appraised, because you could be sitting on a small fortune. You never know when your next lucky penny is going to pop up. Now, if you want more tips on finding coins worth big money, and how to turn those rare finds into a hefty payday, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got all kinds of tips and tricks to help you cash in on your coins. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on the next treasure hunt. And, hey, if you find that $4 million penny, send me a thank you card, alright? You're digging through your spare change, looking for that one gem of a coin, when you stumble across something that could be worth millions. Yep, that's right, millions. And today,
Relax.
we're talking about the 1962 D Lincoln penny, a coin that could change your life, or at least make you feel pretty darn lucky that you're probably thinking, a penny? Worth millions? Nah, that's gotta be some sort of mistake. Well, buckle up because I'm about to show you how one little penny from 1962 could make your wallet feel like it's bursting with cash. So, let's get into it. The 1962 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, and at first glance, it looks like every other penny that you've probably seen. Simple, right? A Lincoln head on one side, the Lincoln Memorial on the other. No big deal. But wait, there's more to this penny than meets the EYE that in 1962, the US Mint produced billions of pennies, and most of them are worth, well, just 1 cent. But there's a catch. Sometimes, mistakes happen at the mint. And when those mistakes happen, they can turn a regular coin into a small fortune. The 1962 D Lincoln penny is one of those rare errors that can send your coin collection into overdrive. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A while back, I found a 1962 D penny in my pocket change. I didn't think much of it at first. In fact, I nearly tossed it in the jar with the rest of my loose change. But then, something told me to check it out. Maybe it was my inner coin geek kicking in, or maybe it was just pure luck. Either way, I took a closer look and you know what? That little penny was not just any old 1962 D. It had a minting flaw that made it way more valuable than its face value. Now, I'm not saying I found a $3.8 million penny like the one I'm about to tell you about, but I did learn a valuable lesson that day. Always check your change, folks. You never know what's hiding in there. Back to the 1962 D Lincoln penny. This rare coin became famous when one of these pennies was auctioned off for a mind-blowing $3.8 million. Yep, you heard that right. $3.8 million. That's not a typo. So, what makes this penny so valuable? The key factor is an error called a double die that happened during the minting process. A double die occurs when the design on the coin is stamped twice, slightly offset from the original design. This error causes the letters and numbers on the penny to appear more bold and thick than usual. In the case of the 1962 D penny, the doubling was noticeable enough to catch the eye of serious collectors, and that's what made it so special. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one of these valuable pennies? Well, here's the trick. Check for the double die error. The most obvious sign is the doubling of the letters and numbers on the coin, particularly in the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If you can see a noticeable shift or duplication in these areas, you might be holding a hidden gem, but don't go getting too excited just yet. Not every 1962 D penny is worth millions. In fact, most of them are just regular old pennies. But if you happen to have a penny with the double die error in great condition, you could have a small fortune on your hands. And that's exactly why it's worth taking a second look at every 1962 D penny you come across. Now, I get it. You might be skeptical. Is this really happening? Can I really find a $3.8 million penny just lying around? Well, it's rare, but it does happen. The key is to know what to look for and where to look. And who knows, maybe the next time you're at a coin shop or checking out some loose change, you'll stumble upon a penny that makes you the next big coin collector sensation. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Always check your pennies, folks. You never know when you might find a rare gem worth big bucks. And remember, while finding a $3.8 million penny is a long shot, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Keep your eyes peeled, stay curious, and don't ever toss away your change without taking a second look. You might just find your next fortune. Did you know that a penny you probably tossed in your pocket change last week could actually be worth a whopping $3.5 million? No, seriously. I'm talking about the legendary 1968 S-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. It's a rare gem that could make you richer than your wildest dreams. Stick around because I'm about to break it down for you, how to spot it, why it's worth so much, and, of course, how you can cash in on the coin craze. Oh, and just a heads up, no, this isn't a scam. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's dive into the world of rare coins. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Okay, let's get right into it. The 1968 Mint Mark Lincoln penny sounds harmless, right? It's just a penny. But before you start calling your local coin dealer, let me explain why this seemingly ordinary penny is anything but. In 1968, the US Mint accidentally made a small batch of Lincoln pennies that were supposed to be struck with a proof finish, that's a high-quality, shiny version of the coin. But instead, they ended up being regular circulation pennies. These coins were so rare that they've become one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world of numismatics. Now, here's the kicker. One of these 1968 Mint pennies recently sold for a staggering $3.5 million. Yes, you heard that right, $3.5 million for a penny. Makes you want to go back and start sifting through your change jar, doesn't it? So, what makes this penny so valuable? Well, there are a few key factors. First, it's incredibly rare, so rare that you could go your entire life without ever finding one. Only a few of these 1968 pennies are known to exist in top-notch condition, and those are the ones fetching the big bucks at auctions. Second, it's all about the history and the era. Collectors love coins with fascinating backstories, and this penny has one. The fact that this coin was accidentally minted as a proof coin, instead of a regular strike coin, makes it an error of the highest order. And let's be honest, people love a good mistake. It's like the time I accidentally sent a text to my boss instead of my friend. Whoops. But in the world of rare coins, errors are pure gold. Now, you might be wondering, okay, cool story, but how do I find one of these pennies? Great question. The first step is to look for the mint mark. This is the little S near Abraham Lincoln's neck. It's tiny, so get yourself a magnifying glass. And check the finish. A proof coin has a shiny, mirror-like finish, while regular coins have a duller look. If you happen to find one of these coins in your pocket change, you'll need to have it evaluated by a professional to confirm its authenticity and value. But trust me, it's worth the effort. Speaking of finding valuable coins, let me tell you about my own little treasure hunt. A few years ago, I was sorting through a box of old coins my grandma gave me, mostly pennies, nickels, and some worn-out quarters. I wasn't expecting much, just some nice nostalgic memories. But as I went through the pile, I came across a penny that looked a little different from the others. It had that shiny finish, and the mint mark looked suspiciously like an S. My heart raced for a second, but alas, it wasn't the famous 1968 penny. It was still a cool find though, a 1943 steel penny, which is rare in its own right. So, the moral of the story is, always check your coins. You never know when you might stumble across something worth a small fortune. And honestly, I still get a thrill every time I pick up a coin that could be worth something. It's like a mini treasure hunt every time, so, there you have it. The 1968 Mint Mark Lincoln penny is not your average coin, it's a rare, valuable gem worth up to $3.5 million. It's like the unicorn of the penny world. If you happen to find one, or if you've got a hunch that you're sitting on a hidden treasure, it might be worth a professional evaluation. If you've enjoyed this coin talk and want more tips on rare coins and how to spot treasures hiding in your pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with more ways to cash in on coins that could make you a fortune. Who knows, your next coin could be the one that changes your life. Have you ever heard of a penny that's worth millions? No, I'm not talking about a rare find at your local gas station or an antique shop. I'm talking about the 1972 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard me right, $3.3 million. And if you've got one, you're not just a coin collector, you might be a future millionaire. Stick around, because today we're diving deep into this tiny treasure and what makes it worth such a jaw-dropping amount. So, grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to unlock a little bit of coin history that could change your life. Let's get into it, now. before you go running to your spare change jar, let me explain exactly why this 1972 penny is so special. If you're thinking, isn't it just a regular penny? Well, yes and no. This is no ordinary coin, it's an error penny, and those little mistakes on minting can actually make it worth a fortune. Here's the deal. In 1972, the US Mint produced pennies, and while most of them have a mint mark, you know, the little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, some of the pennies, like the one in question, came out without any mint mark at all. The kicker? These missing mint mark pennies are extremely rare. So rare, in fact, that only a handful have been discovered over the years. So, what happened? Well, when the mint makes coins, they use dies with mint marks to show where the coin was produced. But in the case of the 1972 NO mint mark penny, a die that was meant for proof coins, which are specially struck and made to look perfect, accidentally got used to strike regular circulating pennies. Since that die didn't have a mint mark, some regular pennies came out without one. Imagine this, you've got a handful of pennies from your change jar. Maybe you're cleaning up after your kids, who, let's be honest, leave change everywhere, and you spot one of these elusive 1972 no mint mark pennies. If it's in good condition, you might just have a gold mine on your hands. In fact, the value of these rare pennies has been known to soar up to $3.3 million in the right condition. $3.30 million for a penny. Talk about a glow up. Now, to be clear, not every 1972 penny without a mint mark is worth that kind of money. It has to be in really good condition, ideally graded as MS-65 or higher by a professional coin grading service. But still, finding one of these pennies is like hitting the lottery. Imagine you could tell your friends, yeah, I found a penny, and it's worth a couple of million. That'll definitely be the conversation starter at your next dinner party. But here's a funny story from my own experience, something that might help you visualize how crazy this whole world of rare coins can be. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandmother's house. You know the drill, sorting through old junk and memories when, out of nowhere, I found an old mason jar filled with pennies. I thought, hey, these must be worth something, right? So, I started sifting through them like some amateur coin hunter. I pulled out a few that looked old, and one had a little bit of a weird wear pattern, nothing special, but I thought, hey, this could be my big break. I rushed to a coin shop, all excited. The guy looked at the penny, gave me a polite smile, and handed it back. That's a nice find, he said, but it's worth about 3 cents. Turns out, it wasn't a rare penny at all. But imagine if I had found a 1972 NO mint mark. That guy would have had to call for backup because of the sheer shock. Anyway, my point is this, it's easy to get excited about rare coins, and while not every penny will make you rich, knowing what to look for could really pay off. So, how do you know if you've got one of these rare 1972 pennies with no mint mark? The first step is checking the mint mark area on the coin, right below Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. If there's nothing there, you've got to investigate further. Keep an eye out for the special error die and check for signs that the penny is in good condition, no major scratches or wear, and ideally, it should be in uncirculated condition. That's when you're in the money. Alright, so what have we learned today? A 1972 NO mint mark penny could be hiding in your change jar right now, worth millions, but only if it's in great condition and the error is legit. So, get your magnifying glasses out and start looking. Who knows? That penny you've been passing by for years could be your ticket to riches, but hey, don't let me be the only one talking about these crazy finds. Hit that subscribe button so you can get more tips on coins worth money, valuable coin strategies, and all things related to building your coin collection, and maybe even your wealth. Let me know if you've ever found a coin that turned out to be worth more than you expected. Drop it in the comments below, and let's talk about it. There's no way this tiny little thing could be worth anything, right? Well, hold on to your magnifying glasses, because today we're diving into a 1970-60 Lincoln penny that could potentially be worth, get ready for it, $3 million. I know, you're probably thinking, no way, I've got like a whole jar of pennies sitting at home. Well, spoiler alert, one of those pennies could actually pay off your next vacation, or maybe even help you retire early. But before you go raiding your change jar, let me explain how this little coin went from pocket change to a serious payday. First things first, you're probably familiar with the Lincoln penny, right? It's been around since forever, it feels like. But there's a very special one from 1976 with AD mint mark that's been causing quite the stir in the coin world. So what makes this 1976 Lincoln penny so special? Well, there's actually a pretty fascinating story behind it. The US Mint in 1976 was celebrating the bicentennial of the United States, so they started pumping out some special edition coins. But here's the kicker, some of those pennies, particularly the 1976 versions, were produced with a serious mistake. And we're talking mistake in a big way. These pennies have what's known as a double die error. Basically, the coin was stamped incorrectly, and part of Abraham Lincoln's face, along with some other details, got doubled. Now, most people wouldn't have noticed the mistake back in the day, but today, these error pennies are highly sought after by collectors, and some are selling for millions. Yes, millions. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have time to go through every penny in my collection. What if I miss the jackpot? Trust me, I get it. I once found a coin in my own change jar that I thought was a dud, just a regular old nickel. But it turns out, it was a rare 1942 nickel worth about $50. Okay, so maybe not millions, but hey, it was a nice surprise. True story, it paid for dinner one night, and that's the real win, right? But here's where it gets interesting. These 1976 Lincoln pennies are so rare that they've been known to fetch some ridiculous prices on auction sites. We're talking $3 million for the right condition. That's not a typo. Some have been sold for prices that make you wonder if someone's out there paying in coins. Imagine finding one of these in your pocket change. You'd be sitting on a literal gold mine. Now, not every 1976 penny is worth that kind of money. The condition has to be just right. You need to look for clear, sharp doubling on Lincoln's face, the date, and sometimes the motto. It's like spotting a hidden treasure, though. Just like with treasure hunts, you've got to know where to look. Here's a tip, if you think you've got a double die penny, take a good look at it under magnification. Check for any noticeable doubling, especially in the letters and numbers. If it's clear, then you might just have a keeper. Alright, so before you start going through every penny you can find, here's a little reminder, the 1976 Lincoln penny with a double die error is incredibly rare, but they do exist. So, keep your eyes peeled, because one day, you might just find yourself holding a penny that could change your life. Now, if you're as excited about coin collecting as I am, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth serious cash. We're talking rare finds, cool errors, and even those pennies that everyone else overlooks, but not you. You're in the know. Hold on to your pocket change, because today we're diving into a penny that could change your life, literally. Have you ever dug through a jar of loose change, thinking you might just find something worth a couple of bucks? Well, today I'm gonna tell you about a 1979 mint mark Lincoln penny that's worth a mind-blowing $2.9 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny. You might be wondering, how on earth is a simple penny worth that much? Well, my friend, let's find out together. And I'll share a little story from my own life that might just make you look at your spare change a little differently. But before we get into the penny that could buy you a yacht, or, you know, a nice dinner, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips on how to turn your change into big bucks. You won't want to miss it. Alright, so let's talk about the 1979 Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking, a penny's a penny, right? Well, not always. Sometimes, the difference between a regular penny and one worth a fortune comes down to a few little details that make all the difference. So first off, you'll need to know what makes this specific penny so special. It's all about the mint mark, the letter on the coin that tells you where it was made. For the 1979 penny, there were three possible mint marks: no mint mark, the D mint mark, and the S mint mark. But the real star of today's show is the D mint mark, which stands for the Denver Mint. Now, let's get into why this penny is so valuable. It's not just about the mint mark, though. The real reason this penny is worth so much is due to a rare variety called the 1979 D double die obverse. Basically, when the penny was struck, something went wrong in the minting process, and the design got double stamped, making the letters and numbers look slightly blurry or, well, doubled up. You know how sometimes you get a blurry photo on your phone when you accidentally tap the screen? Imagine if that blurry photo was worth millions. That's kind of what happened here. The doubled stamping on these pennies is subtle, but it's enough to make them incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. Now, let me tell you about my own experience. A few years back, I was at a yard sale. Yeah, I know, classic treasure hunt move, and I found a jar of old pennies. There were 1970s, some from the 80s, and even a few from the 90s. But something caught my eye, a shiny, well-preserved 1979 D penny. I thought, hey, this could be worth a couple of bucks at most, and tossed it into my pocket. Fast forward to me doing some late-night coin research, you know, like you do, and I found out about these double die varieties. You won't believe me, but I grabbed that penny, put it under a magnifying glass, and sure enough, I could see the faint doubling on the date and the Liberty inscription. I was feeling pretty lucky. But don't worry, I checked with an expert first. Turns out, it wasn't the $1 million version I was hoping for. Still, I made a solid profit flipping that penny, so it was a win in my book. Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions, let me give you a heads up. Finding a 1979 D double die obverse penny in great condition isn't exactly easy. There are only a handful of these in circulation, and even fewer in mint condition. But the good news is, if you happen to find one, it could fetch a serious amount of cash. The most recent sale of one of these pennies, $2.9 million at auction. Yes, you could retire early with a single penny. So, how do you spot one of these gems? Well, first, get yourself a magnifying glass, or, let's be real, use your phone camera for a close-up. Look closely at the date, 1979, and the word Liberty. If you see any doubling or the letters looking a little thicker, you might just have a winner. Don't forget to check the other side too, the reverse, where the Lincoln Memorial is. It's less likely to show doubling, but it's always worth a glance, and remember, condition matters. The better the condition, the more you can expect to get. So if you find a penny that looks brand new, that's even better. So, to wrap it up, don't just toss your pennies aside. A 1979 D double die obverse penny could be worth millions. But even if you don't have a golden penny in your pocket, you can still make some serious cash by learning the ins and outs of rare coins. You never know, your next coin hunt could be the start of something big. Because what you're about to hear might just blow your mind, and possibly put you in the millionaire club. Ever thought that your pocket change could be worth millions? Well, today we're talking about a 1984 penny, but not just any old penny. This one has no mint mark, and it could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.7 million. Yes, you heard me right, $2.7 million. So if you've got one of these little guys lying around, this is your golden opportunity. But before you rush to your coin jar, let's break it down and figure out if you really have a $2.7 million penny, or if it's just another piece of copper clutter. Okay, first things first, 1984 pennies. You've probably seen a bunch of these, right? They're not exactly rare, just your typical copper coin. But what makes the 1984 NO mint mark penny so special? Well, it's all about that mint mark, or the complete lack of it. You see, most pennies from 1984 have a mint mark, either D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But some folks believe that a very tiny number of these pennies, just a few, were accidentally made without a mint mark. And no, it wasn't a design choice or a new trendy style, it was actually a huge mistake in the minting process. Now, you're probably thinking, a mistake? Really? Yep, you're right to be skeptical. But here's the thing, mistakes in the world of rare coins can sometimes be the biggest treasure chests. That's why this little guy, this era coin, is the talk of coin collectors and investors everywhere. And what makes it even crazier? The value. We're talking about a coin that could easily fetch $2.7 million at auction. Mind-blowing, right? So how do you know if you've got one? First, check the date and look at the mint mark. If there's no D or P on your penny, you might just have one of these ultra-rare era coins. But here's where the plot thickens. While they're rare, finding one isn't the easiest thing. The 1984 NO mint mark pennies were likely struck in error in a batch of Philadelphia coins. Now, you might be wondering, well, how many of these mistake pennies are out there? Honestly, nobody knows for sure. Some say only a handful were made, while others believe there could be a few hundred. Either way, it's not a penny you'll come across every day. So, if you're lucky enough to have one, congrats. You're basically holding on to a tiny golden ticket. And let's be real, when was the last time you found a coin worth $2.7 million just hanging out in your couch cushions? Most of the time, it's a bunch of lint and a couple of dimes that never seem to add up. But hey, that's what makes this so exciting. Coins like this one remind us that sometimes the biggest treasures are hiding in plain sight, and that doesn't just apply to pennies. There's always a chance you could have the next big find sitting right in your change jar. So, what's the takeaway here? If you've got a 1984 penny with no mint mark, it could be worth more than your entire collection of forgotten coins from the 90s. But don't go spending it on a latte just yet. If you think you found one of these rarities, get it checked out by a professional. You never know when you might be sitting on a small fortune. And if you didn't find a 1984 NO mint mark penny today, don't sweat it. There's still tons of other rare coins out there that could make you a fortune. Trust me, I've got a whole stack of tips on how to spot coins worth serious money. Just last week, I found a 1922 no D wheat penny that was totally off my radar, and it's already got me thinking about how much more I can find. So, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, so you never miss out on the next big coin discovery. Who knows? The next coin you stumble across might just be the one that changes everything. Don't forget, I'm here to help you make money, and have some fun along the way. A penny? Really? How much could it possibly be worth? Well, brace yourselves, because if you've got a 1987 D mint mark Lincoln penny lying around, you might just be sitting on a potential goldmine worth up to $2.50 million. Yeah, you heard me right, $2.5 million for a single penny. Before you start diving into your coin jar like it's the lottery, let's talk about why this particular penny is worth more than your average change. Stick with me, this is going to be a fun ride. Okay, first things first, let's get something straight. Not every 1987 D Lincoln penny is worth millions. In fact, most of them are worth, well, exactly 1 cent. So, why the hype about this specific coin? It's all about the minting error that makes it stand out from the crowd. Now, we all know the 1987 D mint mark. If you look carefully right there on the bottom of Lincoln's monument, you'll see that this penny was made at the Denver Mint. But in that year, some of the 1987 D pennies were struck with a super rare, and I mean super rare, error, a double die reverse. This means the die that strikes the penny had a bit of an issue. Instead of just one clear strike, it struck twice, leaving a doubled image on the reverse side of the coin, particularly noticeable in the lettering and the design details. See how the letters and the details on the reverse are doubled? That's the magic. The double die error makes this penny one of the most sought after coins for collectors. And trust me, collectors love a good mistake. But here's the catch, most of these 1987 D pennies don't have the double die error. It's a rare thing, and finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. So, if you think you've got one, don't just toss it in the jar like it's a regular penny. Here's a tip: when you're checking your pennies, take a good look at the reverse side. You want to look for that clear doubling on the letters, particularly E pluribus unum, or around the United States of America lettering. If it's there, congrats, you found something special. And if you're like me, you probably have a huge jar of pennies lying around, right? I found an old jar from my grandma's house once, and I thought I'd struck it rich. Turns out, the only thing valuable in there was a 1971 penny, and even that just got me a chuckle from the coin store clerk. Not the jackpot I was hoping for, but I digress. Now, while most of us don't have a $2.5 million penny sitting around, it's still worth checking the ones you have. Some rare coins can be worth more than you think, whether it's a penny or a dime. And hey, at the very least, you might find a shiny one that's worth a couple of bucks. We'll take it, right? So, if you've got a 1987 D Lincoln penny and it's got that double die error, you could be sitting on a gold mine. But even if you don't fret. There are plenty of other rare coins out there that could still turn your pocket change into something valuable. Want more tips on coins that could be worth a lot of money? Hit that subscribe button and join me for more tips, tricks, and the occasional coin treasure hunt. Who knows, your next coin could be worth a small fortune, and I'm here to help you find it. You ever had a coin in your pocket that you didn't think was worth anything? You know, just another penny floating around, not even worth the effort to pick up. Well, what if I told you that one specific penny from 2001 could be worth $2.3 million? Yes, you heard that right, $2.3 million for a tiny, often overlooked Lincoln penny. Stick with me, because today, we're diving into this jaw-dropping discovery and why it's the perfect reminder to never overlook those coins in your change jar. Let's get into it. The 2001 penny, just another year, right? You probably have a bunch of them lying around. But here's the kicker: if your 2001 penny doesn't have a mint mark on it, you might be sitting on a literal goldmine. Now, you might be asking, wait, what's a mint mark? Fair question. Mint marks are those tiny letters you see on coins that tell you where it was made. A D means Denver, an S means San Francisco, and, of course, no mint mark means it was made in Philadelphia. But here's the fun part: in 2001, the US Mint was making pennies without putting that mint mark on them, totally by accident. Yep, it was a mix-up that led to these super rare, unmarked pennies. These no mint mark 2001 pennies are incredibly rare, and the value of one in good condition can skyrocket. While most 2001 pennies are worth, well, a penny, the ones without a mint mark have become a sought-after treasure for coin collectors and investors. In fact, one of these bad boys recently sold for $2.3 million. That's not a typo, folks, $2.3 million for a coin that was sitting in someone's pocket like it was just any other penny. Now, let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my wallet and I found an old 2001 penny sitting in there. I almost tossed it out, but then I thought, maybe I should check if it's one of those rare coins. So, I googled it, and it turned out my penny was just a regular one with the mint mark. Disappointing, right? But here's the thing, it got me thinking. Even though my penny wasn't worth much, there are people out there who made a pretty penny, pun intended, because they took the time to look a little closer at their coins. That's why you should never just ignore those pennies lying around. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if you have one of these rare, mint-markless coins? The answer is, you need to check closely. Look for the obvious signs, make sure it's from 2001, check that there's no mint mark, and assess its condition. A penny that's in great shape is worth more than a worn-out one, obviously. Also, if you're serious about cashing in on your coins, you might want to get it professionally graded to find out exactly how much it's worth. But let's say you don't have a 2001 no mint mark penny. Don't worry. There are plenty of other rare coins out there, and the market for these things is growing. You just need to be on the lookout and keep your eyes peeled when you're handling change. Sometimes, all it takes is one coin to make a huge difference in your life. Alright, let's wrap this up. That 2001 no mint mark penny might be rare, but you never know what you've got in your pocket until you check. Maybe it's not a $2.3 million penny, but maybe it's still worth something more than you think. And hey, if you enjoyed this little dive into coin collecting, and you want to hear more tips on how to find coins worth big bucks, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more coin tips coming your way. Who knows, maybe the next time we chat, you'll have a treasure of your own. 2018 D Lincoln penny, that could be worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent. In fact, one of these babies just sold for a whopping $2 million. Yes, you heard that right, $2 million. So, if you're like me and you've been hoarding pennies in your couch cushions, this might just be the jackpot you've been waiting for. But before we dive in, I want to tell you why this isn't just a wild tale. I'm not the type of person who'll tell you to get excited about a coin that's not worth anything. Trust me, I've made my fair share of mistakes. I once thought I could sell a rare 1982 penny and make a fortune. Turns out, it was just a regular OL penny. My bad. But this 2018 D penny, it's the real deal. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. Now, let's get into the good stuff. Why is this 2018 D penny worth $2 million? Well, first off, the 2018 D penny is an error coin. Yes, an actual mistake made during production. And as with most error coins, it's not just the mistakes that make them valuable, it's the rarity of that mistake. Think of it like this. Imagine if you accidentally drew a mustache on the Mona Lisa. Sure, it's an error, but it's also one of a kind, and people might pay big bucks to get their hands on it. So what's the mistake on this penny? Well, it's something known as a double die error. Basically, during the minting process, the design of the coin was struck twice, and it created some extra, blurry details around the Lincoln Memorial and Lincoln's face. You might not notice it right away, but if you have a sharp eye and know what to look for, this double strike is what sets this penny apart. And here's the kicker, it's not just any double strike. The 2018 D double die is rare, and rare means valuable in the world of coin collecting. Now, I know what you're thinking, is it possible I have one of these in my collection? Well, here's the thing. Only a handful of these coins have been found, so it's not like you'll find one in every box of pennies. But there's a good chance that some of you out there might have one sitting in a drawer or at the bottom of a coin jar, just waiting to be discovered. I know I've found some crazy coins in my time, and I'm betting a lot of you have some potential treasures hiding out there too. Let me tell you a quick story about my personal experience. A few years ago, I was casually going through my old penny jar, looking for something cool to share on the channel. And I stumbled upon what I thought was just a regular, everyday 1994 penny. But when I took a closer look, I noticed some faint doubling on Lincoln's face. I had no idea it was a double die at first. I thought maybe I was just seeing things. But after some research, I found out it was actually a minor error, worth a couple $100. Now, I wasn't retiring off of it, but it definitely made me more aware of what's out there. And if I hadn't been looking closely, I would have missed it. So, if you're holding on to any 2018 D pennies right now, it's worth taking a close look at them. Grab a magnifying glass or a good flashlight and check out the details around Lincoln's face and the memorial on the back. If you notice any weird doubling, you might just be holding on to a small fortune, but even if you don't have a 2018 D double die error penny, don't worry. There are plenty of other rare coins out there that could be worth more than you think. The key is knowing what to look for, and that's what we're here for. Alright, so there you have it. Your 2018 D Lincoln penny could be worth $2 million. If you find one, you might be the next person in the headlines. But even if your penny isn't worth that much, I hope this gives you a little excitement for what might be hiding in your own collection. Remember, coins like these don't always have to be expensive to be valuable, they just need to be rare. Now, before you go out and start searching your piggy bank for those pennies, I want you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I've got tons more tips, strategies, and coin knowledge to share. Who knows? The next big find could be just a click away. Let me know in the comments if you found any rare coins, and as always, happy hunting, folks.